Welcome to Cut Through the Noise. This is Dave Toronto. This podcast is primarily focused on topics about people, communication, business, management, tough conversations, sales, life, you name it. We hope that you listen. We hope that you get value. And if you do, please subscribe and share with your friends. Welcome back. It's Friday, November 1st, day after Halloween, recording during my lunch hour and hoping to release this next Tuesday. Today we're going to talk about how to set our management teams up for success. If you have a company that requires management beyond yourself, it means you've got people underneath you managing your employees. And how do we do that successfully, and what might we be doing to undermine their effectiveness? There are many companies out there with managers all over the place that aren't being effective. And this podcast is primarily about the things that the top leader, the CEO, the president, the managing partner, the board, people at that level, what are we doing to undermine the effectiveness of the leaders that we've hired to oversee our employees? So we're going to talk mostly about that, and then I'm just going to give a couple of quick tips on what you should be doing. So Let's just talk about the obvious things first. There are very obvious things that we can do to undermine our managers and to undermine our people in general, our staffs, our employees in general. One is we just hire the wrong leaders. And this is way too common. We hire people, we either promote people from within that didn't deserve the promotion, who don't even have the ability to lead people, who aren't the type of person that somebody's going to follow. We promote them because they've been there a long time, and we promote them because maybe they produced as an individual, but they don't have it inside of them to lead and to manage. That's just a bad hire. The other bad hire is we hire somebody from outside who maybe has those same qualities or who just doesn't fit the culture. We might hire somebody from inside or outside that just exhibits poor behavior, questionable judgment. They're inappropriate with the staff. This is way too common, by the way. I'm not here to judge the world, but there are way too many managers that are just too close to their people in the wrong way. And the minute you allow that to happen, you'll send a ripple effect through the entire organization. Don't hire people that are going to undermine the integrity of the relationships with the staff or their credibility, etc. Bad decision. So managers that make questionable decisions, have a poor work ethic, can't do the job, won't do the job, not somebody that other people want to follow, not somebody that other people believe in, that's on you. You should have never hired them in the first place. And if you allow them to linger in the organization, that's on you too. So hiring the wrong person, don't do it. They're pretty obvious, flagrant mistakes, and we can correct them. Everyone makes them, but you can't let something like that be the norm in your company. The second thing that we can do to undermine the effectiveness of a manager, beyond hiring the wrong one, is to just hire people to hire people. There are a load of organizations out there. You've got somebody at the top with a massive ego, and they just believe they need to hire more and more direct reports. They need a manager for this and a manager for that. Too many extra bodies, and they're building an empire, though. They just need more management. And then what happens is you get all these managers running around, bumping into one another. They can fall into or slip into this situation where they just lack alignment. They don't have clear direction. They have competing agendas, and it just becomes a mess. And the staff's just staring at the executive team or the leadership team saying, what the heck is going on here? So wrong person, extra bodies. The other thing I would say that we can stop doing that clearly undermines so many people is assigning meaningless titles. I mean, you go into some companies and you've got people with titles for, assistant vice president, executive vice president. I mean, okay, fine. Maybe those titles are meaningful, but when everyone has them, I don't know how meaningful they really are. If everyone's got the title, what does the title even mean? There's another meaningless title out there. And if you have one of these, I'm sorry. You can email me or text me or call me directly, but there are way too many fluffy, cozy title, chief executive of energy and excitement, the special projects manager, the area vice president of authenticity, the VP of fun and games, the regional vice president of nobody. meaningless, powerless. All you're doing is sending a ripple effect of confusion through the staff. You know what the staff is thinking when we hire the wrong people to manage them, or we hire extra bodies that aren't needed, or we hire people and give them BS titles? All the staff saying is, what in God's name are we doing here? What do these people do? It's crazy. But these are all really stupid decisions that are made all over the world on a regular basis that undermine the effectiveness of management teams, and things that we can easily just stop doing. Just completely stop doing this crap. But let's just assume that you don't do any of those things. Let's just assume you don't hire the bad people, you don't have extra people, you've never given out a meaningless title or promoted somebody just to make them feel good. You've never done those things. But let's assume that it's still really not working. There's some sort of disconnect between the management team and the employees, or the management team and you, which is not unusual. What are some things that might be causing that you got to stop doing? So I've got a list of 8 things here, and as usual, I could probably have 800 things, but I'm going to comment on 8. None of them may apply to you, and if that's the case, great. But maybe there's something else that does. So I'm going to go through them. These are things you got to stop doing. The first thing you got to stop doing if you want to truly improve the effectiveness of your management team, if you really want them to feel empowered, or you really want them to get things done, make decisions and all that, you got to stop making yourself a bottleneck. I mean, really, does everything need to be run by you? Do you need to verify everything? Do you need the final say, the final stamp, the final sign off on all decisions? I mean, who do you think you are? You hired these people to help offset whatever. I mean, maybe your company is growing and you've hired managers to help you take care of the place, to help you oversee employees, because you can't have 6,200 direct reports. Then don't make yourself a bottleneck. I mean, if you're a bottleneck, honestly, you're the biggest problem in your company. You're not developing anybody else by being the chief decision maker. If you're out of the office and everything gets put on hold because you're not there, that's not a good thing. And when your staff is staring at their manager, wondering, why can't this person make a decision? What, because so-and-so's out today? That's absurd. Don't make yourself a bottleneck. It's ridiculous. Learn to delegate. That's what you have to do. Start delegating. The second thing you can do to undermine the effectiveness of your management team is to completely be unavailable or to be unapproachable. Kind of give them the Heisman. You're not there when you're needed. And then, or not there when they do need you. There are times when they have to lean on you for support, or they want to run a question by you, or they actually do need your input. Now, it's not every time, but there are times they do. But when you're not available and you're hard to reach, you don't answer your phone, you don't respond to emails, and then when you parachute in a week later or a month later, are you one of those people that takes the summer off? And then you come in, now I'm ready to get back to work, now I'm ready to get all the answers that I've been wondering about. That puts your management team on their heels immediately. They don't even know where to begin because you're not around typically. When you are around, you want so much information that they don't know how to respond to you. Completely disempowers them. The other thing that I'm going to comment on the heels of this, I'm going to skip my order here, is you'll stop micromanaging, and you've got to stop doing that. Usually when you're unavailable or you're flying blind or you have poor reporting, maybe your systems don't provide effective reporting and you really don't know what's going on, or maybe you don't know what's going on because you're never around. If you start the tendency is to start micromanaging, which is bad. Micromanaging will stop all progress. But micromanaging is just this excessive need for granular detail when you want it. Like right now is when I need to know everything. I'm gonna call an all hands on deck meeting, and I'm gonna schedule another conference call, and I want weekly reports on top of the weekly reports that I'm already getting. Even though I can pull this out of the system and I can get all the information I want, I still want you to create an additional weekly report that I'm still not going to read. Micromanaging also takes the shape of, like, where is so-and-so today? Why is so-and-so late? How come that lunch is, how come they're on a 2-hour lunch? Who's leaving early? And you start to get into that gross nitty gritty where you're wondering about everything. And then the staff is on their heels. They're walking on eggshells. They actually stop doing the work that progresses the company. They stop doing effective work or growth-oriented work because they're only worried about pleasing you and getting you the answers you want. And when you create a management team that's there just to provide you with the answers you want, then they're not doing anything to grow the place. So micromanagement is a bad thing, completely disempowering, and there are reasons why it happens. We're not going to get into them today. The other thing that I would say is you got to stop telling them what to do, which is an easy trap. And sometimes we tell people what to do with all the best intentions. We just want to make it easier and give them the answer. Well, the more answers you give, the more you condition them to come back for answers. Sometimes we fall in love with our own answers. We fall in love with our own ideas, our own knowledge, our own experience. We love the fact that our people are coming to us for all this stuff. But when we condition them to do that, it's just like Pavlov's dog. You know, as soon as you ring the bell, the dog starts drooling because the dog knows it's going to be fed. And when we condition our teams to come to us, to wait for answers, if we condition our teams to come to us to ask for permission, that's because we're telling them what to do. We got to stop telling them what to do. We have to help them start to arrive at the answers. The next thing I want to talk about that we got to stop doing is we've got to stop changing priorities midstream. This whole flavor of the month, you know, the executive that goes out on some retreat, or they attend a conference, or they just read a book for the first time in 10 years, and they've got all of a sudden, they've got all the answers and all the things they want to implement in the company. They're chasing that next great idea, and then they start bombarding the company with all these priorities that'll, by the way, they'll change next month too when they go to the next conference. That has to stop. If you constantly change the priorities and the focus of your management team, they'll be running in 1,000 directions until they finally give up and say, I'm not doing anything. I'm going to wait this out because the idea is going to change next week, next month, next quarter. And again, things don't get done. You disempower them. They stand there and just wait for the next ridiculous idea. You got to stop speaking negatively about other people or about them in front of other people. We just should abandon that entirely. All of us should abandon that entirely. But if you're the type of leader that puts your management team down in front of their staff or in front of their peers or in front of anybody, if you show them up and you overrule their decisions and you shoot down their ideas, well, all the other people are thinking is, what are they going to do to me? What is he or she going to say to me next? What are they saying about me when I'm not around? And when people start wondering and worrying about the manager or the leader, the C-level reaction to who they are, they freeze. They don't want to take any chances. They're just going to wait because they don't want to get in trouble. I don't want my ideas shot down. I don't want you saying anything bad about me. They spend more time wondering and worrying about that than getting things done. So stop speaking negatively if you have that tendency. You got to stop not trusting people as well. If you have a tendency not to trust people, if you assume the worst, if you need proof of everything, you need to be shown everything, if you're skeptical, cynical, whatever, you believe people aren't working when you're not in the office, or you believe things aren't getting done right because you're not involved, well, you know what? You're creating complete, inertia on your team. If you don't trust people, people don't trust you, plain and simple. If I don't feel like I can trust somebody, then they sense that in me, and then they just wait because they don't know how I'm going to react. And that's how it is with you. You've got to check your ability to trust people at the door. It's okay to ask questions. It's okay. This is not permission to be naive. But if you're the type of person that just naturally doesn't trust other people, you're going to have a heck of a difficult time developing a management team that actually gets stuff done. They're not gonna, because they're always going to be wondering what you're thinking. The last thing I want to comment on is moods. If you're running a company, if you've got a leadership team of any kind, even if you don't have a leadership team, but if you have inconsistent moods, if you're happy when things are great because the company just secured a great deal, but you're pointing fingers when things go wrong. You're the type of person, I want to celebrate with drinks on Friday because whatever happened for the first time, but I'm yelling at everybody on Monday because so-and-so was late. You got to take control of the person and the mood of the person and the attitude of who you are before you come to the office. You can't be happy and sad and angry you can't be that moody. You know what you do when the staff, when your management team doesn't know what to expect, they start to hold back, hesitate, they're walking on eggshells because they don't know what's coming at them. Nobody needs a moody leader. Nobody needs that. What they need is somebody who's consistent, somebody who's always the same. We can trust people who are consistent. We can trust people who are the same. We know what to expect. When we don't know what to expect, we're always going to hesitate. We don't know where we stand. If you're not consistent, they're not going to be consistent. Period. So here's what you do have to do. You have to learn to trust people. If you trust people, it's going to be easier for them to trust you. If you trust them, they're going to get more done. They're going to feel a sense of autonomy. They're going to feel a sense of freedom. They'll take some chances. They'll get stuff done. So learn to trust people. Live it. Hire well. That's another thing you do. Hire well. And learn to know what you want in people so you bring them into the company. Set and establish clear direction so that everyone understands what's expected of them. Train your people. Support your people. You've got to want them to win. Provide them the help in whatever it is that they need to be successful. Hold them accountable. Continue to recruit good people into your organization so you're surrounding your managers with strength. And the last thing you need to do is just get the hell out of the way. It's that simple.